I'll have my Jaws collection because they're the ones who planted the Jaws seed in me. This would be a great spot for a museum. Whenever I do go through my stuff, I'll always have that connection of Jaws and my parents, and my family, and my youth.
Coming up.
I came down the steps and I turned the corner and I saw everything.
This has exploded.
Wow, that's why you have a lock on the door.
My name is George. I've been married 23 years to my lovely wife, Abby. I have two beautiful boys, Brent and Chad, and a beautiful baby girl named Nova, my corgi. Most people would think of me as a Bond collector, but I look at it much more than that. I've been collecting now for about 25 years. I'd say in the collection is maybe 1,200 items. There's games, there's puzzles, watches, props in movies, there's racing car sets, small figures, large figures, I mean, really everything. And then the things that I make. We got an AR-7 rifle that Connery uses from Russia with Love. And he's got a really unique scope on top.
Do you notice anything?
Nobody knows where this scope is from. I set on a mission to say, you know what, I want to make that scope. I'm still working on it. I had the skill set growing up, making things with my hands, so I was able to get to the point where I can make the things that aren't available. In the movie, they show with red lenses, so these lenses are going to go inside. I'll end up with this, and it'll look identical to the screen-used one. I've asked myself many times, is it an obsession? Is there something wrong with me? How far do you go? When do you go far enough?
When I was a kid, my family didn't have the money to get all the cool James Bond toys that I wanted so badly.
Growing up, we had a really nice toy store on one corner called Hobbyland. And he always had Bond toys in that window. And you want to get these things. It kind of brings back something to you that the past is important.
Now I earn a decent living and I'm a skilled craftsman, so I'm able to fill that void.
It's not something you do for money. I do it for the love, for the challenge, and I'm a completist and a perfectionist.
Today I invited two close friends over to check out my collection. They're also big James Bond fans.
Hey,
you guys, you're late. Get in here.
You've got a James Bond dog.
I came down the steps and I turned the corner and I saw everything really beautifully displayed.
This has exploded.
Wow. It's exploded.
This has exploded.
Yeah.
It's growing on its
Holy
own.
mackerel. Very nicely done.
I like what you've done to the place.
This is really the love of the basement where I got the toys that I didn't have as a kid.
Well, you more than made up for it, George.
But I have. My first memory of Bond was going to the movies. My mom would give me 50 cents, we'd go to the theater, and I would sit in the front row, and I would just watch it over and over again.
It's not perfected yet.
You're a kid growing up, you always fantasize that you're a screen character.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
The look, the accent, the women, the weaponry, those things make an impression. They made an impression on me. My foremost love is the Aston Martin DB5. I remember seeing that in the first run movie, it was 1964.
You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 with modifications.
The look, the machine guns, the ejector seat. I started only collecting the car, and then next thing you know, it's out of control. This is a very rare Aston Martin. I chased this down from before the internet days. I finally got one, and then I restored it. This is the largest production Aston Martin car that was ever made, and I understand that less than 300 were made.
Does your wife ever say, what do you need another Aston Martin for?
That's why you have a lock on the door. My wife, I guess she tolerates the collecting and the time down here.
He spent mostly the whole day there, especially the weekends.
But she's not into the stuff. She doesn't have that connection that I had growing up. One of my favorites is the Gilbert Aston Martin that I had as a kid. My mom got this for me at some birthday back then. You gotta see this.
Oh!
It stops. What? The machine guns, the bumpers, the ejector. The plate goes up in the back.
Look at that. It's actually working by itself.
That is amazing.
Wow. Here we have something from the 60s that's a little, battery-operated toy that can cause that much of, excitement and kind of bring us back to being little kids on Christmas morning. It was cool.
I gotta show you this. This is, to me, the holy grail of all the Bond stuff. Everybody wants the attaché case. This is the first thing that Bond gets that looks like something normal, but it's got all these gizmos and gadgets inside that work.
Black leather case.
And the thing everybody loves. You gotta have it, right?
Press that button there. Now she comes.
You never know when you're gonna need it. My favorite is the one that I made. This is Connery from Thunderbolt. I used the joints that you find in like a model aircraft. Then I had to make the gun from scratch. And then I had the suit made also. But to me, the thing of it that I really like, which I spent the most time on, is the jetpack. I had to go back to the drawings that the Eon Studios had of what jetpack looked like and get all the dimensions. It's got all the same cables, it's got the gauges, everything else. And it actually fits on, straps on the same way the real one did.
Is this what I think it is? Wow.
This is the gun that Connery uses at the beginning of Goldfinger. He's coming out of the water, he's got to get over the wall, and it shoots a grapple. He would shoot it over the wall, this thing would open up like that, and he's over the wall. And the thing about this was a several-year project to try to figure out how do you make this. The only thing I had on this was, there was a photograph in Christie's. The original prop was sold at Christie's, I think in '95. I think it sold for like $10,000, which is peanuts today.
You could probably add another zero to that.
Yeah.
And I know that he made that from scratch. It didn't exist until George started his work, his passion on it. It pulls you into that moment of the movie. That piece is amazing.
This is something I made that I saw in From Russia with Love. He meets this Russian spy on a transport. He's pretending to take a photograph of her.
Smile.
He's trying to get information from her, but he's got a recorder in the back of it. And I looked at that thing and I said, I gotta have that.
Answer my questions quietly, but clearly.
I was able to build this, and it's an exact replica of what you see in the film.
Lovely view.
In case you ever want to take anybody out, I mean, if you need to borrow a sniper rifle.
That's a massive piece.
This is pretty heavy. If you don't hit them with a bullet, you could just hit them on the head with it.
How heavy?
You probably could.
It's really heavy.
Now this is not real, correct?
No, of course not.
That's actually a Walther WA-2000, which is it's a really powerful sniper rifle used by the military. It was used by Timothy Dalton in The Living Daylights.
You missed deliberately.
Everybody needs a hobby. Everybody needs some therapy. Some more than others.
I'm glad you guys came over.
You
guys can appreciate it.
George is the opposite of crazy. The fact that he has this passion as kind of a detox or a therapy, I think is actually very healthy.
When I think of the Bond things, it just brings back a great time in my life, childhood, the fun, the innocence. As you go downstairs into my display area, the passion that I have is obvious. The place almost reflects what you are inside. You just surround yourself with the things that you love, the things that you make. It makes me happy.